We know from human trafficking NGOs and missing persons groups that children and adults being snatched is not uncommon. So it's all the more worrying when a voice note lands in your WhatsApp group saying this. Take a listen.
All kids, huge kidnapping syndicate that's going on. They just kidnapped Khan's butchered his son about half an hour ago. I'll play the video footage here for you guys. They took him away. Last week there was a kidnapping. Yesterday they tried to kidnap a small little girl. The ransom was 5 million rand, but luckily to the team members that we got, they managed to get the girl before the kidnappers could get to her.
Well, that voice note goes on to say that kidnappings are on the rise in South Africa, but is it true? Are they? I'm joined now by Brigadier Vishnaidu, spokesperson for the South African Police Service. Good evening to you, Brigadier. First of all, is that voice note from the police?
A very good evening to you, Sally, and thank you for this opportunity. Well, obviously, just listening to that voice note, one would have noticed that the person recording that note has not been specific about exactly when, where, and how this kidnapping had taken place. We're starting to see a lot of these videos coming around now, and all we can do is put them down as being fake videos because we don't have reports or records of children being kidnapped. When on the other hand, we're hearing people putting out information on social media about certain buildings being used as buildings for human trafficking, kidnapping of children, and so forth. And in those cases where we could check the information out, we deployed our crime intelligence teams there, and we found all of those cases were proven to be false. Of course, with these recordings, we can't seem to trace where these recordings were done, by whom they were done, and we are hoping that people who have information or possibly recognize the voice of these people that are making these recordings to come forward and provide us with more information. As far as we know, no children are being kidnapped or human trafficking taking place.
All right, so we do know that human trafficking happens. We do know that kidnappings happen. But this particular voice note, as you say, it's not legit. It claims kidnappings are on the rise. Are they?
No, kidnappings are not on the rise, but when you're talking about kidnappings for ransom with adults, yes, we are experiencing a problem with that. We do have cases reported to us, and we are acting on that accordingly. You would recall not so long ago we were able to rescue a man that was kidnapped and taken and kept against his will in Kliprivier. We arrested a syndicate in respect of that, and we are constantly trying to up our game to stay ahead of these kidnappers. We have a team that we've set up at national level. We're working very closely with our intelligence teams in the provinces to make sure we can try and curb those kidnappings of adults, but not children. We haven't had reports of children being kidnapped, but yes, we did receive reports of adults being kidnapped for ransom.
I would imagine these fake voice notes actually just cause more problems if they turn out to be completely bogus. What would you think is the motivation behind putting something like that out? Do you think it is a well-meaning person just trying to warn people to be careful, or is it just to create anxiety?
I think we need a psychologist to actually give us a reason why this is happening. But from my experience, what I see happening is that at times we get an incident that seems to spark this kind of conversations, this kind of interest in people wanting to put out information that is not accurate, that is misleading, irresponsible most times. Like you in your opening remarks in respect of the story mentioned the incident where a man tried to grab a child, and the initial narrative and conversations around that was the child was being grabbed for human trafficking, which of course was not the case, as we have all learned now. And that seemed to have sparked this type of conversations and people to post videos and voice notes related to that kind of scenario. But this is what we've been finding. If there's an incident that appears remotely close to this kind of this type of crimes, then you find people entering into that fray or into that space where they want to keep this conversation alive. But more often than not, they are causing more
I think we've just lost the line there. I think he was about to say that these videos or these voice notes are causing more harm than good. Brigadier Vishnaidu, spokesperson for the South African Police Service, confirming to us that a voice note circulating saying that child kidnappings are on the rise is not true. In fact, what is on the rise, though, is ransom for adults. And he says we always need to check for specifics in these voice notes. And, of course, if the voice note doesn't have an identity, if the person doesn't say who they are, then your little red flag needs to go up. We certainly don't need false information with so much crime in our country as it is.